Let's talk about the Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 4 roster. What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. I'm LotusAsakura, the one who never knows best, and today I want to talk to you guys about Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 4 and kind of some of the things that we can expect and how we should temper our expectations when it comes to the roster for this game. So I just finished watching a video from the big homie Omega Pro, which if you don't already follow him, I'll leave links to his stuff in the description down below. You can find him on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. But he just dropped a video talking about Tenkaichi 4 and kind of some of the things that we can and can't expect from the game, and also most notably how it'll most likely actually be in the vein of the original Budokai Tenkaichi games and not very much like Ultimate Tenkaichi, as some people are speculating that it potentially could be. I don't want to talk too much about that here today. I more so want to talk about the roster, because he actually brought up an article that he read and he made some very good points that I agreed with and were already thinking myself. We're going to take a look over at that real quick and then give them some of my thoughts about what we can kind of expect to see when it comes to characters in this game. So here is the official Dragon Ball website, the official English Dragon Ball website, and they dropped this article talking about Tenkaichi 4 and talking about the new trailer. But if we read here, it says a new game in the Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi, or Dragon Ball Z Sparking as it's known in Japan, series has been announced, and already that off rip makes it seem like, okay, like if the trailer one wasn't enough, it's like, no, this is a Budokai Tenkaichi game. This isn't like Ultimate Tenkaichi. The news came as a big surprise to fans. Boy, did it, when the new trailer was unveiled at the Dragon Ball Games Battle Hour 2023, a 2-day event held on March 4th through 5th in the USA. First released in the 3D action fighting game series with Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi all the way back in 2005. The game was such a hit that it was followed up with 2 sequels, Tenkaichi 2 and Tenkaichi 3. No note of Ultimate Tenkaichi or Tenkaichi Tag Team or anything like that, with all 3 garnering popularity among fans thanks to their faithful recreations of special moves and massive rosters of characters from throughout the Dragon Ball series. Now, that's very important to note, because obviously roster is going to be a very hot topic and a hot commodity when it comes to this game, because the thing that Budokai Tenkaichi 3 in specific is most notorious and infamous for is the insane roster. Off the top of my head, I don't know the exact number of characters the game had, but it's well over 100 characters, right? Some of them are very similar, some of them are clones, and a lot of them share special moves between each other, which is a big reason why they were able to have so many characters in that roster. And then obviously you have different forms, like there's Goku early, Goku mid, Goku end, Super Saiyan 1 Goku, base form Goku, Super Saiyan 2 Goku, Super Saiyan 3, Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, Super Saiyan Gogeta, Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, Vegito, base form Vegeta, Super Saiyan Vegeta, Super Vegeta, Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta, Maj Vegeta, you know what I'm saying? So it's very easy to start racking up characters very quickly, especially when you take into account all the different forms and all the different versions. I mean, Goku alone has Goku early, Goku end, Goku mid. I don't know why I'm saying some of these out of order, but you get the idea, right? Now, the thing is, I know a lot of people are probably expecting and hoping Tenkaichi to have a very large roster, just like Tenkaichi 3. But I don't think we're going to see that 100 character roster, and at least, at the very least, not at the start, right? Tenkaichi 3 launched with all those games, and you know, you can unlock some of them or whatever. But I think when it comes to Tenkaichi 4, we should probably expect something much smaller than that. And I know it's going to be disappointing for some people to hear, and you might want to fight me or argue with me on that. But I'm gonna keep it a buck. I'm gonna toot my own horn real quick. Remember Dragon Ball FighterZ? Remember when that game was coming out and I made a roster video talking about how that game was most likely gonna have less than 30 characters, or at most 30 characters at launch, and it would be DLC? I'm gonna keep it a brick. If you go back and watch that video, I was like 99% accurate on damn near everything I said, all the way from like how many characters are gonna be into the game, to which characters were gonna be in the game, and how some of them were even gonna function, down to like 17 and 18 being a single playable character that worked together. I don't know how I guessed that, but I did. You might think I had some sort of inside information on that. I didn't. It was just a really good theory. I don't necessarily mean I'd be correct on this, but I would just like to point out that your boy was pretty good with his predictions in the past, and I might be pretty good on this one, right? So the thing with Tenkaichi is that I do expect the game to still be played very similarly and still have the same structural skeleton and backbone as the older Tenkaichi games, especially since they're putting so much emphasis on this. And I'm talking so fast because I'm so excited that I still can't believe we're getting a new Tenkaichi game. But obviously comparing DBZ and Tenkaichi is a bit different. Dragon Ball FighterZ is a much more specialized, much more unique game, especially when it comes to its gameplay, whereas Tenkaichi is a little more homogenized, which is kind of weird to say because DBZ, as far as fighting game goes, is a pretty homogenous game. And by that I mean, like, where certain characters share so many similarities. For example, like every character in that game having a 6 or 7 frame jab and all having the same movement speed and jumping options, whereas in other games, you know, characters have different walking speeds, different like frame data on their normals and stuff, right? That exists in DBZ too, but the game is more homogenous than others. That being said, DBZ is a game where there was supposed to be a smaller roster, where you could expect a smaller roster because the characters are more unique, more individualized, and have more nuance and personality to them compared to Tenkaichi 3. Not to say that Tenkaichi 3 didn't have characters that had their own special moves and whatnot, but there was just less diversity in terms of the gameplay for a roster of that size, you know what I mean? So I do expect Tenkaichi 4 to be still similar to Tenkaichi 3, but a bit more modern, maybe a bit more work and effort put into characters so that they are a bit more individual and have their own identities But I think it's going to be somewhere in the middle of DBFZ and Tenkaichi 3, where it's not quite to the degree of that, not quite to the degree of that. Like I said, somewhere in that middle ground, right? So what's the approximate number? It's kind of hard to place because it could go either way. Somebody asked me in chat earlier, which by the way, I'm streaming live on my Twitch channel right now, twitch.tv/LotusAsakura. Links are in the description down below. By the time you're seeing this, I may or may not be live, but this is being recorded live on my stream because I figured it would make for an interesting topic, and we were kind of having some discussion about it in the chat. But somebody asked me, if the game released with 25 to 30 characters, do you think that would be enough? And my answer to that is yes. Now, the issue I have with that isn't that I have an issue, it's that I know that a lot of you guys out there will have an issue because the expectations are so high because the roster in Tenkaichi 3 was so big. And I don't think we should expect 100 plus characters in the game at launch because I just don't think that's a realistic expectation. Dragon Ball FighterZ was released with, I believe, 24 characters. Again, more unique, however. So let's say we double it, maybe even triple it, but let's just say we double it. If Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 4 releases with about 50 or so characters at launch, I would personally be very happy. I think that is more than enough because realistically, a lot of those characters in Tenkaichi 3 didn't get played or no one cares about. Like, who was playing as Sauza? Who was playing as Frieza Soldier? Who's playing as Cyberman? Who's playing as Yajirobe? Okay, sure, some of you out there from time to time might have played those characters to troll your friends or your siblings or whatever, but on a pretty regular basis, people are not going to queue up online and play those characters. You know how I know this? Because if we take a look at a game like Dragon Ball Xenoverse or Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, where you have characters that fans demanded and then were actually added into the game, people don't play them. You know what's funny? You know what's ironic? You know how I know people are full of it when they just want rosters for the sake of large rosters instead of actually wanting characters that they expect and anticipate playing? Majin Vegeta. I'll never forget it. In Dragon Ball Xenoverse 1, Majin Vegeta is not in the game. So naturally, he's one of the most requested characters. Leading into Xenoverse 2. They add Majin Vegeta to Xenoverse 2, and he is one of the least played versions of Vegeta. Why? I couldn't tell you. I played him. I played Super Saiyan 4 way more, but I played him from time to time. But people care way more about Super Saiyan Blue. Super Saiyan Blue is the new hotness. Obviously, Super Saiyan Blue is going to be in Tenkaichi. We can guarantee that for a fact because the trailer itself shows Goku transforming into Super Saiyan Blue. But yeah, characters like Android 16 or Dodoria and Zarbon, like these are characters that were asked for in Xenoverse 1 that actually ended up making it into the roster in Xenoverse 2, and then nobody played them. So I'm somebody who's of the mindset and the belief that having a large roster just for the sake of having a large roster is pointless. If the characters aren't going to be played, it's a waste of time and resources that could be better spent elsewhere, improving the gameplay, making other characters more unique, adding in more content to the game, improving the story mode, and so on and so forth. I don't want 100 characters if 30 of them are characters I'm never going to touch. You know what I'm saying? That's just me. Now, as for which types of characters we can expect to see and maybe touch a little bit on the gameplay and stuff, I kind of feel like this game is most likely going to cover the entire anime of Super in its story mode, right? It might start with Dragon Ball Z and go all the way through Super. Who's to say? I have so many thoughts swirling in my head and I'm not really sure how to organize them and how to place them in the videos. Probably should write some of this stuff down, but I'm kind of just winging it all off the top of my head. But I think we can expect to see the majority of the major characters of Dragon Ball Super in this game, even at launch. So Beerus, Super Saiyan Blue, Goku and Vegeta, Golden Frieza probably. Anything that's from like Battle of Gods Resurrection F and in Super, I think has a good chance of making it into the base roster of the game. And then my theory is that we'll obviously get a ton of DLC for this game. So probably for Dragon Ball Super Broly. Now, Dragon Ball Super Broly is kind of like an up in the air one for me because I feel like he's the type of character that could probably make it into the game at launch, but I won't be surprised if he does it. And then Super Saiyan God Goku and Super Saiyan God Vegeta and DBS Broly are like DLC characters or something like that, or at least Vegeta, because Super Saiyan God Goku is in Battle of Gods, so he might make it in, and then the God Vegeta could be a DLC. That one's also hard to say because like how you gonna add God Goku and then add in Vegeta as DLC? Who knows? So that's why I'm just like the Broly stuff might be in there at the start, but then you have like Orange Piccolo, Beast Gohan, and obviously Dragon Ball Superhero like Base Gohan, those could be DLC. And then we have the manga stuff, Moro, Granola, all of that stuff could probably potentially and most likely in my opinion be DLC. And then GT as well. GT stuff might also be DLC because it's not a focus right now. GT is kind of like the ugly duckling, like the black sheep in the Dragon Ball franchise. A lot of us really like it, a lot of us don't. I do, and I think a lot of the characters look really cool and are really sick. Super Saiyan 4 is my favorite transformation of all time, but I would probably guess that's not going to be a large focus for them, and it's probably something that we wouldn't expect to see in the game at launch, sort of akin to Dragon Ball FighterZ, where it has Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super characters, and GT and movie stuff came as DLC. So same thing goes with Dragon Ball Budokai Tenkaichi 4. When that game released, might not see a lot of movie characters like Janemba or Bojack, and those might get added in as DLC packs, because I'm sure they're going to want to milk this game for everything that they can, and they're going to want as many characters as they possibly can, because they know that we're going to buy them, and I know you're going to buy them, and I know that I'm going to buy them, so they're going to do it. But yeah, I guess the point of this video isn't necessarily speculate about which characters are on the roster. Although if you guys actually want, if there's demand for it, I'm more than happy. I'll sit down and actually think out maybe about 50 characters who I think will make it into this game. Maybe even 25 more, maybe 50 to 75 characters who I think will probably be in the game, and then how DLC will work. And I can bring that full list if that's the type of video you guys want to watch and want to hear. But I also just want to say that keep your expectations in check, because I think it's unrealistic to expect 100+ characters in the game, especially at launch. I'm not saying that the roster can never get to that size. I think this game is going to be comparable to Xenoverse in terms of roster, where it's like there's going to be a lot of characters in it, but there's going to be a lot of DLC that expand it even more. I don't remember exactly off top how many characters Xenoverse had at the beginning. I want to say it was around 80-ish characters. This is stuff I could Google, but I'm just going off memory. Like I said, I'm winging this video. I didn't write anything down. But yeah, man, I know DLC is kind of like a bittersweet thing for some people. It gets people like me excited. I know not everybody has money for stuff like that to constantly be buying more and more DLC, especially with the price of video games already being so expensive. You already paid $400 to $500 for your console, or however much for your PC. You paid $60 to $70 for the game, and then you're paying like $25 to $30 every season for a new season pass. And who knows how many characters will be per season pass. I feel like standard there's probably like 5 to 8 characters per pass, and who knows how many passes there will be. I'm down to throw money at it because, well, for one, I'm a content creator, full transparency. It just is what it is. Like, I make money off doing this for a living, so it pays for itself. But then also, I feel like it's worth it because the amount of entertainment and value I get out of it is worth it to me for the money, and I can afford to do so. But I understand everybody's in that same position, so it is what it is. I do sympathize with you guys, but business is business, and that's just the way the gaming industry works right now. So that's kind of where I stand on it. But with all that being said, I do think that the roster for Tenkaichi 4 will be abundant, just maybe not as large as some of you will probably hope it will be based off of the roster that we had in games past. Especially if there's going to be multiple versions of characters, it will easily reach that point, but you can probably more than often not expect a lot of DLC for this game. I think that covers most of my thoughts off the top of my head. I might make some more organized videos, and if you guys have any thoughts or comments, questions, or things you want to hear me talk about in a video, feel free to leave it in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear from you guys and your feedback and what you guys think, especially as far as roster is concerned. In the comment section down below. But hit this video with a like if you did, subscribe if you haven't already, so you can stay tuned for all this content when I'm bringing you. With all being such much off today, and remember, nothing can happen until you swing the bat. Later.